Hello and welcome back to Cargo Cafe. As always, I'm your host, Libby Hausman. I'm joined today virtually by Riley Wiles. Riley, how are you?
Doing great. Super excited for the Cargo Cafe today. Sorry, I can't be there in person with you, but
Yeah.
sure you're enjoying the space.
No, I've plenty of room now. I love it. I'm not elbowing anybody.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I think we have a really great topic today. I know people are really interested to talk about it, and it's kind of on everyone's mind right now with everything that's going on with AI. I know you have a personal connection with Chris, so this should just make it all the better. Hope to hear some dad jokes for sure.
Oh yeah, a lot of dad jokes. I'm a little worried he's going to bring up 2010 version of me because I try to forget about that guy. But no, Chris is an awesome guy. I definitely wanted a front row seat to this chat and really super excited to hear his take on technology and um, the role it's going to play moving forward.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned it, but we have Chris Woods here today. We're going to be talking about AI and freight and how technology is changing our industry right now. So we have Chris out here now. Chris is a logistics executive with 25 years of experience in building and scaling transportation and brokerage operations. He specializes in workflow automation, AI-driven visibility, and operational designs that reduce friction across sales, operations, and carrier networks. Known for bridging strategy and execution, Chris focuses on turning complex logistics into simple, repeatable systems that drive growth, margin, and customer experience. So, Chris, we're super excited to have you on the show. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me. And Riley, good to see you again.
You too, man. It's man, you've been getting after it. I didn't know any of that about you, so you've really been a busy guy since the last time we hung out.
Yeah, yeah. No matter how much you do in it, you can never keep up. I just actually returned from Manifest out in Las Vegas, and the amount of tech that's happening in real time, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
It's awesome. So, what any life events, any updates you got for me before we get going? I just want to hear a little bit more about where you've been, where you're at now.
Yeah, I'm actually with Southern Logistics out of Gladewater, Texas. I'm building the logistics division through tech stack and automation, and also building out our agent network. And so, as we continue to grow, we want to diversify our freight and our modes of transportation, what we serve in.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to have you on the show. And I think people are excited to talk about tech and AI. So let's just get right into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my first question for you, Chris, is how do you see AI changing the way logistics providers price, book, and manage freight over the next 2 or 3 years?
That's a really good question, because at the end of the day, especially if you're in the spot market world, right? I mean, it becomes more focused on what's going on, not only in historical sense, but also in current and in future, and being able to understand what the market's doing, from different seasonalities to different shippers to different receivers. I mean, it could be when you're pricing out things, it could come down to, are these shippers or receivers historically take a long time to unload and offload? So AI can go to that granular to really kind of drive into a price that fits the best solution. And then also you're looking at dynamic pricing. We've dealt with dynamic pricing in LTL for years now, and how does AI help us in dynamic pricing with truckload? What capacity constraints are, what weather is doing, and what roads are shut down, and there's a lot of things that can go into that factor. And then I think AI can really help us in our margin protection. Whether you're a shipper, whether you're a broker, I think our margin protection is going to be key on how we use AI for our pricing. Booking is going to be key. Instant carrier matching is huge. How we have those relationships with carriers, automated onboarding and monitoring their insurance certificates, which we have that already with different onboarding solutions, which are MCP, Highway, RMIS, and those types of tools. And then managing the freight. I think as we continue to build out AI or AI bots, however you want to describe them, I feel like we need to make sure that there are operations and our coordinators and our employees and not the face of our company. I can see AI becoming very virtual in the next 2 to 3 years with status updates, appointment reminders, updating our clients of what's happening in real time so that we can get ahead of things and be proactive.
Yeah.
Real quick, on the dynamic pricing side of things, can you explain, like, so like if I'm a shipper and I say, hey, we have dynamic pricing, what's the benefit of that? And what does that kind of look like on a day-to-day basis, you think?
I think from a shipper's perspective, they understand in real time in booking what that price is going to be, so they can make better decisions on how they're spending their money. Right? I mean, if obviously when you're booking an LTO and a dynamic pricing model, your pricing changes from a Monday to a Friday, and so it allows the client to see if, obviously if you got end of month, into quarter, and you're trying to get things off your books, you want to get that shipped. However, if it's off your dock on a Friday versus a Monday, does that change the shipping dynamic from 200 to 400, price difference? So that's going to be key as we start to see that dynamic pricing in truckload.
Yeah, anytime I try to explain that to people, I don't do a great job. So if you're telling me there's a solution that's just going to show them exactly what this means, I'm all for it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of ways that AI is going to kind of grow in the next couple of years. What tasks do you think are going to kind of remain like human led?
Oh, that's a good question, because as we get into this world of AI, I mean, it's definitely going to change our ecosystem from how the humans operate and have an interface. I think that's the key, is that we become the relationship base. I mean, I don't want AI to be the face of my company, right? I want the negotiations, I want the planning, I want the strategic leadership with our clients happening with humans. And so as we start to kind of evolve, I guess I should say, with these AI employees, there's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be trust building. There's going to be how we collaborate with our clients. But humans definitely need to be humans, right? We need to have that customer strategy relationship and be able to resolve some of the disputes that are out there that AI can't.
Yeah, I think those are all really great points. Oh, Riley, were you going to say something?
Oh no, yeah, the bumps in the road. A guy from our office, Mr. Chance Pope, very, very smart individual, had a great post today on AI. And when you say bumps in the road, so like clients, it's changing so fast, and I feel like every 3 months something new and better is coming out. Are you anticipating people to just go along for the ride and continue to go to new system, new process, or do you think a lot of people are just going to kind of hold out for a more finished product, if that makes sense?
I think that depends on if you're talking in a shipper sense, in a service provider for sense, or a carrier sense, really. I mean, I think carriers are going to be depending on the size of a carrier, obviously. I think the smaller to medium-sized carriers are going to be your last to adopt any type of AI integration. But when you look at it from a service sense, like your third parties and your brokers and your warehouses, I think you're going to see a major rush to adopt AI and how AI can make their lives easier. I think also clients are going to understand, and shippers and receivers are going to try to understand how they can utilize AI to keep their finger on the pulse of the market and what's going on with their service providers.
So you talked a little bit about how the carrier relationship is going to kind of evolve in this landscape. How can logistics providers use AI to build stronger carrier and customer relationships rather than just making the process feel impersonal and more automated?
That's a really good question, because again, AI needs to be built as an assistant. Again, we're in the human business, humans doing business with humans, and I think we need to let AI do the prep work and the reminders and the recaps, and have the human voice be in those meaningful moments. I think one of the things that we need to create AI is to be proactive and help us mitigate some of the bad things that can happen in this industry rather than be the face. And so that personal touch needs to be our human interface.
Yeah, I like that. So you kind of see AI as more of like a behind the scenes operation thing and still keeping that human in the forefront.
Yeah, I say automate the admin and humanize the relationships.
Can you give a couple of examples that are going on right now? We've obviously been adopting AI every chance we can here, but can you just elaborate on a couple that are going on, like the guys making the phone calls, booking trucks and things like that? Just a couple of different applications that are going on right now.
Man, there's so many, but I'll list out one, and I'll kind of elaborate on this tech. Chain8 is one of those techs that a lot of people are using for their tracking and carrier negotiations and relationship. And so take a look at that. It's a really cool tech that keeps track of the loads all the way from shipper to receiver. And they're doing some great things in how their tech relates directly to the driver while also keeping the dispatcher in communication. So that's just one of many out there that people are using.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So what challenges do you think the industry kind of needs to solve before AI can truly deliver on its promises?
Ooh, what challenges? I think we're very fragmented in our data. I think our data lives in so many different places. And so you have data that lives in your TMS. And if you're in this industry, so much data lives inside of your email threads. And I mean, I don't know how many times you're looking for a PO or you're looking for a proof of delivery or a conversation that you had with an individual, whether it be carrier or shipper or receiver or dock worker, whatever the case is. It's buried in our emails.
Right.
Spreadsheets, carrier portals, ELD systems. There's so many different pieces of tech that hold our data. I think it's a messy truth that we have to try to find avenues to bring it all together and then allow AI to kind of dissect what's been going on in our ecosystems.
Yeah, I think our industry is kind of usually last to the party when it comes to tech.
It has been, yeah.
Yeah, so just talking about fragmented data and having all your data in one spot feels like a 1998 conversation, but the logistics industry is having it in 2026, baby.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I think that was
call-out,
a great point, and definitely something that maybe even AI could come in and help solve that problem. Yeah, absolutely. So as AI adoption kind of grows in our industry, what skills do you think is going to make certain successful freight brokers stand out versus others?
I think speaking from brokers and shippers and carriers alike, I think exception leadership is going to be key, and how we identify and train AI employees or AI bots, however you want to identify them. How do we get through our exceptions, right? I mean, one of those things, how is an AI employee going to deal with a driver trying to start a fist fight with a dock worker, right? I mean, when they're not getting their way about loading or strapping loads down or whatever the case is, there's human element inside of that we need to stay in key with our intervention. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to be that exception leadership and how we create problem solving under pressure and turning those failures into saves.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out. I think it's interesting to think about how, if one company chooses not to adopt AI at all, they're going to, get left behind. But on the flip side, if there is a company that does everything only AI in the same sense, they're going to fall behind. And it's going to become that the companies that kind of blend it together successfully that will probably do the best.
Right.
Yeah. So kind of moving into the ideal freight tech stack. I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but what core system should every modern freight provider prioritize in their tech stack, like TMS systems, CRMs, visibility, pricing tools, that kind of thing, and how should they all work together?
I think as you start to build your AI, it's going to be workflow automation and how all of those pieces of tech work. That core is that TMS, right? You want to have a TMS that not only works for you as a broker, but also works for your clients,
Right.
and helps identify clean, good data so that your AI agents or bots can actually analyze. And then that CRM is going to be key. Most brokers, they actually use a glorified contacts list or some type of a modern CRM, but I want a CRM that identifies shipper behavior, lane level opportunities, maybe service performances, and then just give you that healthy type of pipeline of how you can train your AI to make decisions. And then you hit on it, visibility. Visibility is going to be a key of how we utilize AI and how we can stay ahead of problem solving. When we get down to it, we want AI to be our warning labels to things that are happening in the industry. And then lastly, you mentioned it, pricing and analytics. I mean, that's as we start to really dive into, again, dynamic pricing or spot model or project management, whatever the case is, and how we price things out, AI should be able to understand weather habits as granular as construction projects or lane history or carrier relationships. No matter how deep you want to go, AI can give us that strong sense of pricing based on the data that we feed it.
Yeah, with that, do you I see the small to medium sized shippers really benefiting from this. So connecting the dots logistically instead of just doing load boards and stuff like that.
Right.
As a mid-sized shipper has a huge project going to Atlanta, and then a mid-sized shipper there has something coming right back. Just connecting all those dots real time with AI would be
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, something you said there that kind of stuck out to me. You said AI should be used as a warning label. And I think that's really interesting to think about AI kind of looking at all the things that could go wrong on the back end and being able to send updates like that. I think that would take a lot off of, someone's plate. So they're not looking at the weather or checking this or that. And I wrote that down. I like that a lot. Warning label. Yeah. Awesome. So where do you see the biggest return on investment today? Is it automating like back office tasks, digital carrier onboarding, or like advanced pricing and analytics tool, if you had to just pick one?
I think it's going to be that back office automation is going, because you're seeing it today. We're automating check calls, we're automating status updates, we're also automating document collections, PODs, BOLs, invoicing audits, whatnot. And you're starting to see that in the industry today with not only outside plugin techs, but also TMSs today are starting to build that type of automation inside of their own tech. And so this here will free up possibly 20 to 40% of your operations capacity and could possibly reduce headcount. And give that immediate pressure on your operations.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. So when we talk about, technology, what are your thoughts on kind of building custom technology versus buying something off the shelf to kind of help scale?
I had this discussion last week at Manifest, actually. I mean,
yeah.
It's crazy to see all of the tech companies that are coming out today at Manifest. And I think one of the red flags is when looking at off the shelf tech is, are these tech companies in the industry? Have they had history of being a shipper or a broker or a third party or been on the dock? And so a lot of these guys are coming up with these tools that are exciting, that are fresh, that are new, and everybody's kind of looking at the shiny penny, but what is their experience in the industry? And so when I look at tech to buy, I'm looking at their experience. Like, have you been a driver? Have you been a carrier? Have you had your own brokerage or been on the dock? So I think that that also looks at the core infrastructure. If your TMS will link to it, if your CRM will link to it, what is the stability there, and how often do you have to really kind of work on it, right? So I think when to build, I think, is those customizations. If it's a unique service model, if it's tied directly to your margin, your customers, your shippers, and your entire ecosystem, that's when you build, right? But when it comes to buying, I think it comes down to that core infrastructure that you already have or you want to build onto.
That's such a good call out. Having the freight background is it's just mandatory.
Yeah.
So many people come into this space and think they're going to change the world and fall flat on their face. So that's I love that call. You just have to know the industry, understand it, have lived in it. You just have to have that perspective to make it work.
Yeah. I'm sure that's kind of, part of a much larger conversation about making the right decisions for yourself and your company and figuring out how that's able to scale. And maybe it starts with, some off the shelf tech. And then as the company is able to grow, it becomes more of a customization situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think shippers, they need to, as this stuff is being applied, understand what it is that's being utilized, make sure that it makes sense for them, and do their own research on top of that as well, just to make sure it fits with their ERP system or whatever it is.
Yeah. So moving into a little bit on the cybersecurity side of it, what cybersecurity and data privacy considerations should providers be factoring into their tech decisions as they adopt more cloud-based and AI-driven tools?
It's a really interesting question. I've got some friends that are in the data security space, and there's no end to where our open gaps are in our security, especially in this industry. We're human based. We trust, but we're in the age of fraud, and the fraud is rampant like crazy. I mean, I get text all the time of asking to go do things for an employer, which never sent me that text, and so it's crazy how fraud is infiltrating every piece of tech that we have. But when it comes to data access and I would say identity management, right? So when we have these AI bots or AI employees, I think they need to be very strategic and role-based with their access controls. I don't think everybody needs to have access to see rates and margins and customer contacts. It needs to be very siloed in what these agents or bots do for you. There also needs to be a multi-factor authentication for all cloud tools. I mean, that's one of the things that I hear a lot of people focusing on is multi-factor authentication. There's a lot of brokers and carriers out there today that don't really take advantage of that. And then I want to look at, the third-party risks that are out there. Every SaaS tool that you bring into your ecosystem provides a security breach, depending on what their security is. So when you're interviewing tech and you're understanding bolting on a piece of software that helps your tech stack, there are some major qualifying questions that we need to look at. What's their data encryption standards? Where's their data stored? Who owns the data? Right? If I'm feeding data into an ecosystem and my bot is working for me in your platform, where does that be stored? So that is something that we need to take in consideration. And at the end of the day, how are we training the AI bots? And how are they learning your customer data? Because if they're learning your customer data and you don't know where that's being stored, that's a big red flag. And at the end of the day, we're in a fraudulent area of the industry. Carriers are breaking down the doors of double brokering patterns, suspicious carrier behavior, and tampering with documents. There's so many things that I think that as we identify cybersecurity, we have to know where our gaps are at when we're looking at building out that relationships or building those bots and how we protect those bots from infiltration.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting conversation because in the same way that AI can be so helpful to you, it can also put you at a little bit of an increased risk. So being smart about it, and like you said, asking the right questions is going to become more and more important as we continue to adopt that in our industry for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to transition a little bit more to like the current freight market, specifically open deck freight, and how that is kind of evolving right now with AI and automation. So in your experience with open deck capacity and project freight demand fluctuating, how can AI-driven pricing and market intelligence tools help logistics providers stay competitive without eroding margins?
It's a mouthful question there.
You know, that was a long one, but I didn't stumble on any of my words, so I'm proud of myself.
You got all that. Can
Well,
you display that
if we're-
for
if we're
Chris?
speaking-
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm gonna have AI answer that question.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Absolutely. We need a chatbot on the call.
No, I going back to the open deck discussion, right? I think open deck is truly that uncharted waters when it comes to automation and tech. There are a lot of things out there in permitting and escorts and routing and
Right.
different constraints that open deck takes on, especially in the specialized world. But at the end of the day, open deck is really that wild west in a good old boy network. I love open deck freight. It's exciting, especially when it comes to hot shots, to flatbeds, step decks, RGMs, all of the above. It's just a world where humans really engage, and I don't think they'll ever lose that. But when it comes to the pricing complexity that it takes on, I think we can automate and build AIs around that.
See, I think that's going to be like the last.
Libby, are
piece.
you still with me? Because Riley's got a good looking grin.
He's
Oh,
glazing
no.
over a little bit.
Am I good?
He
My bad?
looks like a glamour shot.
He's moving for me, so
Oh, he is.
yeah. Is he frozen on your end?
Oh no, now he's back. That was
Oh.
great.
Okay. Well, glamour shots, those are the only kind of shots I have, Chris, at all times, 24/7, 365.
Of course, right?
Yeah. So the open deck freight, I think that's the last that AI will be able to impact, just because of all the complexities that go around it. The project freight and
Sure.
open deck freight is that changes in transit more than any other type of freight as well. So I think that'll be the last for AI to touch. But if it solves that, I mean, there's nothing pricing wise that it can't solve for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of real-time exceptions that happen when loading, offloading, timing of things. There's just a lot of unknown incidents inside of open deck freight that I think AI will have a difficult time with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a pause really quick. We had a question come through from Ona Coker. He asked, do you mind sharing your perspective on how AI truly brings value in the ocean carrier space when carriers historically provide limited, inconsistent, or low quality data? If the data isn't there, what exactly is AI working with?
That's a really good question. And it all comes down to data, right? And having data work for you and having AI read that data. But I think the challenge there is at what point is AI coming into the transaction? Is it at loading? Is it at offloading? Is it tracking? Is it at the ports? And so if you use AI in a tracking sense, it could work wonders for you in the ocean freight. But when it comes down to the pricing and understanding where you're getting that data from is going to be key. I can't speak on international pricing. You guys can probably speak best on that, but how that can correlate into building out pricing structures and customer analysis is going to be key.
Yeah, and I think looking at AI, so this particular question, limited, inconsistent, or low quality data. Well, we can still look at historicals. AI can look at all the historicals and trends and everything that's going on there to make educated guesses on that stuff to maybe help out in that space. But yeah, if the data is not there, it doesn't exist, then it's going to be tough to predict.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a great question. Going back a little bit to some of the open deck stuff that we were talking about earlier, how do you see logistics providers using their TMS and other visibility platforms to manage the complexity of open deck loads?
I think it's going to be really looking at your regional capacity forecasting and understanding, your relationships with your carriers, and whether you have those relationships prior to a project or as you're building those relationships, or actually looking at AI to build those relationships. I think regional capacity forecasting is going to be key on how we can look at open deck utilization, project freight, equipment, imbalances also, step deck, RGNs, multi-axle type of freight. That's going to be the key on that. And I think also, we've talked about it before, how does weather impact the open deck market? Obviously, I had a project not too long ago that got pushed back 2 weeks because of a snowstorm up in the Northeast. And so as we start to build out these projects and build out the open deck scenarios, weather is always a key factor in that. I'm ready for springtime to come on, but at the end of the day, we've got to understand planning for every scenario and how that seasonality works.
Speaking of springtime coming on, everything I'm seeing and feeling and hearing right now is the truck market, in particular, the open deck market, is really heating up. Are you give us a little insight? You pretty excited about spring taking off? It feels like this year is a little different than the last few years. You feeling the same?
Yeah, the things that I'm seeing and the things that I'm watching on LinkedIn, the market is definitely early in all modes of transportation. I think some of the things that are happening in the construction sector with data centers, for instance, that's a whole nother blow up in our industry, whether it be van, box truck, open deck freight. There's a lot of things happening in that sector. And so you're starting to see an influx of need and capacity start to squeeze. I just watched something on Sonar the other day that the rejection are way up in the market, and you're starting to see the stock market kind of go up a little bit. And so I do believe that 2026 is going to be that shift. I do believe that our economy is creating that shift in how we spend our money and how we build out our infrastructure when it comes to AI and data centers and all of that. And so I was just up in Iowa the other day, and in one city there was 3 different data centers being built at one time, and so it looked like an entire city was being erected. It's pretty exciting times for our industry. It's a very, very new industrial revolution for our country.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody who did a bid at the end of 2025 has their 2026 rates, and now the market's kind of taken off. So
yeah.
Just real quick on that, for a shipper, and you hear, hey, the trucking market is heating up, capacity's tightening. And you're a very young guy, but you got a long logistics history. What advice would you offer shippers out there with a market that's kind of on the cusp of really taking off?
I think there's 2 things there. It's the partnerships that you build with your service providers, whether it be a carrier direct or a third-party broker or freight management. It's that partnership, right? And giving that understanding when you're going out to bid, that market shift, right? Weather happens, right? Hurricanes happen. I mean, we've experienced hurricanes and what that does to the marketplace. And so planning for a 3 to 6 month, quarterly shift in things, I think is where shippers need to be at, especially now. I mean, we lived in a world of COVID. I mean, COVID skyrocketed the market, and we've been down from that. There's people that just got into the industry a couple of years ago that have never seen that pendulum swing. And so right now, we're starting to see that pendulum swing back in the favor of the carrier, and we need to stay in front of it, educate our clients, and help them understand that the last 3 years is definitely a gravy, but we're heading into a market right now where capacity is going to be tight. The domicile driver situation that we had definitely pulled a lot of that capacity out, and so we're seeing that starting to tighten up things. There's a lot of factors that shippers need to stay in front of, and if they partner themselves with good people like Bestway International that can educate them, then those are the partners that you want in your back pocket.
I'll give you your $20 after this for giving us the shout out.
I appreciate the plug. Absolutely.
Right.
We have another audience question here from Danielle Spinelli. What's the biggest thing brokers should focus on to prepare if the market does flip in 2026?
Good carrier relationships, good onboarding trust as well, because as we start to see the market flip, you're going to start to see fraud ramp up. And I think Danielle is also known as the fraud girl in the industry. So it's definitely something that we need to keep the thumb on the pulse of is what's going on with carrier relationships. Because again, when the market does flip, it's going to be those carriers that you've helped along the way in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
That's
Anytime there's a lot of change in a little amount of time, that is just the open window for fraud.
Right.
And when you got to be on your highest alert for sure. It's a good call out.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions for you, Chris. But before we get into that, I did want to say if anyone else has questions, please leave them in the chat. We have a couple more minutes here. We want to make sure we're answering any and everything that you guys have. We did get a fun call out from Mr. Ryan Shannon in the chat about the data centers. Great call out on that. Goes hand in hand with the main topic of AI. So thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that.
I should have had Ryan on here. He would have just loved this conversation with you, Chris. He's all about it, all about tech and how we can apply it and make life better for everybody. So
right.
Well, that's kind of the perfect segue into my next question about tech. So looking at today's freight environment, what part of the tech stack has the biggest impact on service reliability and customer confidence for high value, oversized, or like time sensitive open deck freight?
Hands down, visibility. When it comes to providing transparency and visibility to our clients, I don't, whether it be LTL, whether it be box truck, truckload, I think visibility is the key. Visibility, communication, and transparency are vital. And that goes down to how do you build your AI bots to do that for you, right? Because right now, as humans, we're doing it. But I get sick. You get sick. We all take a day off. We need to stay in front of that visibility and communication. And so when it comes to open deck and specialized freight, it's definitely transparency and communication is definitely key that we always need to keep in front. So how do you build that into your tech stack? I think it was your question. It's how you customize your AI, how you customize your workflow automation to keep your clients in the know and be able to ask those questions in real time.
Yeah, I think every shipper has their own unique KPIs, what's
Right.
most important to them, whether
Right.
that's damage claims or on-time deliveries or on-time pickups or, protecting against fraud, like, whatever it may be. And so I think AI's application is here's how we bundle up all of this and here's how we display it to you, and make it real time. And, just keep track of your KPIs and make sure that whoever you're partnered with is doing what they say they're going to do.
Exactly.
But right now that's manual. We're going to our TMS to get that information. We're going to QuickBooks to get that information.
Right.
We're compiling it as best we can. And so that's where I think AI, you train it at the snap of the finger to send that over to them, how they want to see it.
Right.
Yeah, something that we've brought up a couple times is like training these AI bots. And that's a really interesting concept to me. Can you break down a little bit? What do you mean when you say training the bot?
Well, that's one of the things that I think is important as we build these AI employees or bots is that you keep them siloed. Because once you build them to do so many different things, how do you protect those decisions? And so as you train them in one silo, if I'm training one to carrier source, if I'm training one to do tracking, if I'm training one to do update notifications, I think it's going to be key on the limitations that we have with those bots, and also protecting the data that those AI bots have. I don't want my AI bot telling Riley that Libby has a load that's going to be delivered tomorrow. Why are you telling me this isn't even my load? And so I think it's going to be important that when you build that infrastructure, you have to keep those bots siloed in a function that keeps it simple.
So I'm just curious, the training process. Can you? So you're sitting down and it's just tracking on any shipment that's in transit. So how long does it take to train that bot? Is it an ongoing training as it makes mistakes? You're course correcting, and what does that process look like? The actual training of the bot.
That I can't answer. I would love to be able to answer that, but at the end of the day, it goes back to the data that you're supplying it, right? I think we've all been on ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT, build me a picture that has a gray sky and blue water, that's all it's going to do, right? It's going to give you a picture of a gray sky and blue water. But I wanted a tree over here, and I wanted a boulder over here, and I wanted the water to be a little wavy, and I wanted clouds over here. It just depends on the information that you're providing that AI bot. Same as how we deal with ChatGPT. It's going to take time to go through those scenarios.
Well, see, that's the part that kind of concerns me for shippers out there, right? Is, we live and die. Every shipment we're only as good as our last shipment. And that's just the way of the world. That's the way of the logistics industry.
Sure.
Taking that risk to have a bot who's in the middle of training screw something up is like super concerning, right? And a shipper is going to feel that pain if we're not doing that the right way. And it kind of goes back to what you said earlier about, just the vetting side of things and all that good stuff is making sure you're aligned with the right people. Have it trained up the right way, have a test environment before you go live. If I'm a shipper, I'm asking my partner all of these things. Hey, I love that we're introducing tech. Have you, who are we using? How'd you vet them out? Have you tested this yet? I really don't feel like being your test dummy with $150,000 worth of my product going down the road. So that's just super important, super intriguing. And I can't wait to sit in on all of these demos and stuff moving forward.
Right. I also, at the end of the day, Riley, I think when you are soliciting a customer to do business with you, they're not asking you, hey, how was your training with little Johnny over there that's doing your character vetting, right? They're trusting your company to provide the best solution possible. And so whether that be AI, whether that be a human, we're not going to deploy an AI bot no different than we would deploy a human. That we want them to be well-oiled machine before they're the face of our company.
Great call.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And as I'm not necessarily a super techie person myself. So when you talk about training these bots, it is kind of just an interesting concept to think about how you would train a bot differently than you would train an employee. Obviously, it's going to go much faster, but then there are still some of those, hesitations when you let it go for the first time, as you would any new employee. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of evolves in the industry as this becomes more mainstream, of people adopting AI employees and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we are right about time. So if there's no last minute questions, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. We super appreciate you, giving us some of your knowledge and sitting down and chatting with us and, not making fun of Riley too much. So
I'm so glad we ran out of time. I'm just so glad we didn't get to, he likes to make fun of my lack of hockey skills and
oh my gosh, someday we'll need to have another podcast on the hockey stats.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a bummer we ran out of time. My next 5 questions were all about Riley's hockey stats.
Good.
Sure. As long as we can steer clear from the corduroy jeans that I used to wear around and stuff like that, we don't need to bring that back. I do have one last question. Who's winning men's Olympic hockey? And it's a multiple choice. I'm going to give you a couple of ones. Is it USA, or is USA going to win?
I was going to say Jamaica. They've got a really good team this year.
Okay. USA all the way.
Surprised
Let's
Riley
go.
didn't just end the call right there.
Boom, mic drop, USA. No, I do appreciate you coming on, man. That's super intriguing stuff. Ever changing. I feel like we could bring you on every month and have a whole nother 45 minutes worth
exactly.
of tech to talk about. So look forward to bringing you on again down the road. It'll be funny to look back on this call and then, whenever you join again to see where we're at, I think that'll be really fun.
No, you're right. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you guys and sharing a little bit about what AI is doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you to everyone who joined, and we'll be back next month with Cargo Cafe. So thank you all. See ya.
Thank you.
See you guys.